Perfect. We're live from the West Coast. How are we? Very good day. We have a lot of news. The new iPhone has already been launched. We have volatility in the financial markets. So please, we come directly to the news to be able to review how the situation is in the stock market. We come here to Russia's indefinite ban on diesel exports. They threaten to worsen global shortages. A government decree signed by Prime Minister Justin tells us. The Kremlin said on Thursday it would introduce temporary restrictions on diesel exports to stabilize fuel prices on the domestic market. The ban, which took effect immediately and applies to all countries except 4 former Soviet states, has no end date. So be very careful with diesel in the coming hours and the coming days and weeks to be able to review its prices at the European level. Especially, let's remember that when it comes to gas, etc., approximately 40% are exported by Russia. Well, in this case, it exported to Europe, and that is why several countries in the European Union found themselves in an inflation crisis regarding gasoline, diesel, gas, in addition to electricity, energy of course, and also corn and wheat, basket basic for families. We also have Apple's iPhone 15. Launching in China and people flocking to stores even as Huawei's resurgence emerges. Be careful with this. Let's see how the situation is with Apple. We quickly come here with the acronym AAPL. Today with the launch it is at 0.31% of benefit. As you can see, there was a correction from almost $200 to $174. So it could be an interesting buying option. Despite everything, it is quite high with a PER of 29 and has always been quoted for the last 5 years at a PER of 25-26 maximum. So we could still be a little higher in Apple with a dividend that pays you 0.55%. And they estimate that this year it will reach $200 per share again. We also have the stocks making the biggest moves today, including AstraZeneca. Shares of the British pharmaceutical company gain more than 3%. We have Alibaba listed in the United States and PPD shares added almost 4%. JD also rose 3.3%. Let us remember that Chinese stocks have been quite affected in recent years. Alibaba had spectacular finances that rivaled, of course, Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook. Alibaba, for example, is currently trading at $87 per share. As you can tell, it has dropped from over $300. This is the one that is quoted in the United States in dollars. Remember that there are other companies that are listed on other exchanges under the name Alibaba, also from the same company, but they are listed on different exchanges in Hong Kong, which is their headquarters in China. Of course, we have also made the biggest movements in company attention fell around 1%. You may be in the Walt Disney buy zone at a 9-year low of $82. A disaster. Yesterday we did an in-depth analysis, so you can take a look at the video. We need to check out N Company, which is a company in the agriculture sector currently trading at $380,379 per share. It is a very interesting price at the moment. To make an entry I would like a little more if it reaches $350, but at the moment it is a very interesting price. Let's see the company's valuation of 11.5. Per always quotes a PER of 1919. There is the sector, and according to analysts, they expect it to rise another 15%. This year, the optimists reaching 500 and the pessimists below 400, approximately 300. Now it is exactly at that price. So you have to take into account. During company I want to see the financials of this company quickly. I would like to get an intrinsic value from it. He also has debt, but he can pay it. Let's review it now. Profit margin of 16%. Perfect per at 11. You have the book price of 4,791, a little high, but it's pretty good. The price to sell 1.78, and has a dividend of 1.4. ROA NAS ROI in positive. This whole year has fallen, so you have to take this into account. The beta is 1. It is not a defensive stock, but it is not volatile either, so it can be an interesting option. I would like it more and reach 350, but this is an interesting price at the moment. In company, if we come to the topic of finances, for example, we are going to come here for the valuation. I would prefer finance directly with the balance sheet. If we are going to review the balance sheet, we quickly let it load the total assets. Currently 78,000. The total liabilities are 80,000. Let's see. Again, total assets. Sorry. 100 here in total assets and liabilities it is 80,000. So if you can pay with all your assets. But remember that a very healthy company can pay with 1/3. That is, 103,000. Here the debt is 30,000. A healthy company is just with half the assets, being able to pay its debt. For example, here 100,000 and the debt of 50,000. In this case 100,000 to 80,000. It can pay the debt, but it is a bit fair, so it would have to be compared with the sector. But it is a quite interesting company. Dear and company, I really like these prices. Let's review some more actions. You can also leave me the actions that you like in comments without any problem. So ARM Holdings is falling. They increased 1.3. The stock rose almost 25% during its debut on the ARM Holdings stock exchange. Of course, I do not recommend investing in IPOs when companies go public. That means I don't recommend it because there is too much volatility in that part of the action, of the action. We have like retiring with $1 million and your annual salary as $80,000. Approximately. Obviously these types of salaries are in Europe, in the United States, for example, in Latin America, for example. To give you an idea, one spends less, in Latin America one earns more in the United States and Europe spends more, of course. So, for example, a 3-bedroom rental in an interesting area in Latin America costs you $300 to $500 for a 3-bedroom rental in an apartment. A large apartment of more than 100 square meters in the United States. That's going to cost you over $2,000, and the minimum wage is precisely that. You realize? Just yesterday I was watching a TikTok where a babysitter working 10 hours a day, if I'm not mistaken, not approximately working 5 days a week, she got paid like $20 an hour, according to what the TikTok said. So doing the math, it's approximately $200 a day in a week towards $1,000. In about a month, towards about $4,000 approximately. And obviously that is spent, not because he lived with his partner. Obviously if they both work they can save a certain amount of money. Obviously they didn't have children. It is a quite different situation in other countries. In Switzerland, for example, the minimum wage is above $4,000. For example, there the currency is the Swiss franc, but when converting it is basically at par, as well as the euro dollar at par. So pennies apart, of course, but roughly there you end up on minimum wage making about $50,000 year. Do you realize that, for example, in Latin America, 3 years of saving is a 3-bedroom apartment in one of the best areas? Do you realize? So we have to take that into account when saying, do you earn more abroad? Yes, but it costs more. Do you also earn less in Latin America? Yes, but it also costs less. So you have to play with that, right? With that part it's not yes either. For example, and this is important to say, because there are people who go abroad and say I'm earning $2,000 per month, my friend, with $2,000 per month in the United States. No, you're not doing much, really. If people want to save, they would have to go to a bad neighborhood, take a 2-hour bus, and have a car. Of course, it's basic. They're in car insurance, health insurance, quite a few other things that you have to check. Gasoline, internet, electricity, rent, food, of course. No, it's not cheap at all. So $2,000, isn't it enough if you have a child? You're not very fair. So there's $2,000. In Latin America, it's quite a lot of money. Yes. $2,000. A family with 2 children is living quietly. You're paying for college. You're saving for college. It's like that. They are different economies. It can't be compared. A person who earns $2,000 in Latin America, it is a person who is considered to have a lot of money. Yes, not a millionaire, not rich or those terms, but he has enough. He is well off financially. He is healthy. He is economically healthy. His economy is healthy. That, and in the United States if you win $2,000 per month, because you are financially very bad. If you understand, right? So you have to take that into account too. Now, 5 things you should know before the stock market opens. We have that the Fed did not raise the interest rate. You already saw it in the video description. Here is precisely Jerome Powell, who said that rates are not going to rise, but they are expected to rise only once this year, more 0.25. Very surely, and that rates remain high for longer. They are not going to rise, but rates remain high. That's why yesterday the market also fell about 1.5% on both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Rupert's reign. Well, no, I don't want to review that. Microsoft's new technology. Microsoft unveiled new Surface computers and details about Windows 11 at a New York event. Let's check. Cisco is also with a news story here. Let's check how our beloved Microsoft is doing with the acronym MSFT in the stock market. We are with laterals. We are in the Nasdaq already wanting to be negative, also in the S&P 500. Yesterday we had a strong correction of 1.5. We no longer have corrections or bullish rallies of 3% up or 3% down, which was normal in 2020 and 2021 due to the volatility that existed in the markets. But despite that, we are quite unstable on the stock market. Here, for example, we have Meta Platforms rising 3% above 300. Let's update these, and if we update it, we are with Target, for example, falling 1.3. We are going to review Target because this entire side has already fallen. Quite a company. We are going to review it, falling almost 2%. We have already seen it, but it doesn't hurt to review it again. The ETF, for example, of China, long cap, is going up because Alibaba, JD are going up too, which are the leading companies in states. Sorry, in China, no, in the United States. In China we also have all this lateral Nvidia. For example, in a small correction we are already going up. We have had a correction of almost $500 to $400 if you wanted a drop to be able to enter Nvidia. Of course, it can be an interesting option. You can continue waiting for it to fall further, or you can already start a position because it has a very interesting support, and also its former all-time high is still far from approximately. Let's review $330,340. It's still a long way off at $350, so it's going to be your decision if you want to hold out until $350 to make a position in Nvidia, or if you want to start right now. The valuation is at 99. It's still quite demanding. The option I would recommend, for example, is if you really like a company, you buy it and wait for it to fall. That is, if you want to invest $500, you invest $200 and the other $300 you set prices to make re-entry. This only works like this. You like the company in the long term so that once it falls you buy, it falls purchases. That's called scaling a target company. For example, with the acronym TGT, which is trading at $115, has fallen quite a bit. As you can see, the sector is one of those that has fallen the most. It was at about 260 to 150. The first thing to check at Target is not to directly come and say, well, of all Walmart, Target, I like the price best, so I'm going to buy Target. The first thing to review is why the Target has fallen so much and whether the fall is justified or not. If the fall is not justified, depending on your analysis, it could be a good time to buy, but perhaps the news will accompany this movement and you will say it should have fallen more. It is understood? There are two options there, so we would have to review why this happened. The first thing, whether it is a bullish rally, has risen 200% like Nvidia, or has fallen from 260 to 115, more than 50, almost 60%. Well, you have to check in both ways if it goes up or down, why this is happening, and if this movement is justified in company it is or in a support, but it is not always at a bad price up to a maximum of 450. It could be an option to make re-entries directly. If it is close to 310,320, it could be an interesting plus. It pays you a 100 dividend of 1.39%. Envy a little more of the same thing, and that is what we would have in the stock market today. Alexander tells us, Luis, normally a fall like the one these days lasts or is a one-day thing. It depends on the market sentiment. I have seen 3 days in a row, but that was in 2020 and 2021 with the supply chain, and the problem still existed in 2020 that the Nasdaq fell 3 days in a row. 3% fell 9%. Total madness. Everyone thought the stock market was over. What a disaster, because when the Nasdaq or the SP falls 10% in several days, it is a total disaster. The record that the S&P 500 had for falls in one day approximately in 2020 was 5%, if I'm not mistaken, and the Nasdaq was 6% in a single day, so you have to be quite afraid. Yes, it does fall 10%, but for me it is shopping day. You take out your shopping cart and start buying companies. If the majority who started investing in 2020 made money because basically everything you bought, you would have had very bad luck or very bad financial analysis to buy a company that has not recovered. Basically any company you bought in 2020, almost. He recovered quite well. You made lots of money and many people took advantage of that. That year, for example, I earned approximately 60% on closed operations, because that is a trick, for example, of traders or people who want you to give them your money to trade. Please, I ask you not to fall for these scams if it seems real to you. Of course, for example, I who have experience in trading is not something I like, but I can do it without any problem. Divergence in the MACD, moving average, supports, etc. I like it. But for the psycho trading issue of my peace of mind, I prefer to create a business here, stocks and ETFs, but in the long term passively. That's my way of investing, so you know. It seems logical to them that a person would come and say, give me $1,000. Tomorrow I'll give you $1,500. Tomorrow I'll give you $1,200. In a week I'll give you $1,900. It's crazy. In my country, for example, they tell you, deposit me $100. Tomorrow I'll deposit $100. And what are you going to do with my money? My friend, I trade, but the market is closed. Yes, but in the Bitcoin market you can do in the over-the-counter market. I have the broker that you can do post-market that speaks to you and convinces you. If you don't know what you're getting into, they're going to scam you. That doesn't make any sense. Making money costs. The fairy godmother is not going to come and excuse me for being so direct about doubling your money in one day. Yeah. Hello, my name is Jesus, and you're going to give me $100 today and tomorrow $150 is the solution to your debts. No, don't fall. That doesn't happen. They are going to be scammed, and the worst of all is that they scam people who are starting out in the stock market. People who don't have much experience, because people who already have experience in the stock market, in trading, in cryptocurrencies laugh in their faces when they say that. They laugh in their faces. But Luis, you will ask me how they have photos with cars. Look, it shows who has money. Look, the one-day ticket from here to Egypt with a stopover in Dubai cost me $1,950. When I went with my father, $950 per person. You buy that investment ready. Instead of buying an iPhone, you buy that, you go, take a photo, buy some nice clothes and that's it. In Dubai, a lot of cars, a lot of Ferraris, a lot of Lamborghinis. You take a photo and you can even rent it for $100. They let you take a photo and go around the apple tree, etc. Obviously you have to do half an hour. You are signing papers, insurance and so on, leaving your passport, etc. So it is not expensive to have photos. A priori you realize then it is important to take that into account. With $1,100 you already have your photos in Ferraris, in Lamborghini. If you are in Dubai, you are in Egypt and all your life you take 100 photos there. You upload one every day. From there you upload them again. You delete them. You have for a year, in anus. How many people are you going to scam with that? Avoid falling into that. Avoid making money. It costs in the stock market. I would recommend not putting, for example, the money from all your life savings. I would really recommend passively doing the stock market while creating a business, an online business. That's the way for me to invest in the stock market, and I really want to be transparent with you. To trade you have to educate yourself for about 6 months, then you have to start with a demo account. Also be careful with academies that tell you that in a month you will be able to operate. All those academies want is for you to deposit $1,000 or $2,000 to give them a measly $100 commission. I say miserable because of the attitude they have, not because of the money, not because of the amount. $100 is a lot of money. It is 1/3 of a minimum wage in Latin America. But I mean the attitude. The attitude of scamming people for that amount of money. Honestly, don't believe me. Believe in karma. Believe in this type of things. The truth is that it costs money to make money, and please don't fall for these scams. Yes, it was something that I had to mention to them 100%. Hello Luis, as you can see, Coca-Cola looks pretty. Of course Andres. Now we review it. I like it because it is for $58 if I'm not mistaken. 57 I already really like these Coca-Cola prices. I like it a lot. I love a safe purchase. For me it has a dividend of 3%. Now this Pepsi comparison. In the last 10 years Pepsi has doubled Coca-Cola's money. Let's review here so you realize. In the last 5 years, 25%. In the last 5 years Pepsi 50%. Double in 10 years. Coca-Cola 50%. And in 10 years, 100. Pepsi has beaten Coca-Cola a lot in the last 5 and 10 years. So Pepsi can also be an interesting option. But I like Coca-Cola a little more in the long term because its price is interesting. Let's see. The valuation is always quoted at 25 and there's a PER of 23. It is a safe buy for my Coca-Cola. Right now I am going to check if I think I had positions in Coca-Cola at approximately 58. So I think I am going to leave those long-term positions. I really like Pepsi. Let's see. Let's review Pepsi Super. Pepsi is quite high. It would be necessary to make a comparison of Pepsi versus Coca-Cola in this case. But 30 always quotes a PER of 25. It could be a little higher. Coca-Cola. According to Super History, Coca-Cola is at a better price, according to analysts. Let's see. Let's check how your finances are. It has debt profit margin of 23, total of 5, book price of 9 in Coca-Cola. In Pepsi, let's check. Has a little more debt, good, similar profit margin, much lower than Coca-Cola's 8%. Price of 2, book price much higher than that of Coca-Cola. So well, quite interesting. Both are defensive, beta 55 and beta 55. Also ROA in positive, and here ROA also in positive. Well, that would be for today. What we have to analyze is Friday. There will not be much movement unless there is a crash in the stock market. In fact, we are already falling. Let's see. Let's check the Nasdaq at 0.55. You already know that in the afternoon we will be reviewing the quarterly reports for the following week, so I'll wait for you in the afternoon live to be able to review how the stock market is doing. Get your companies ready. I will review one in the afternoon. Of course, yes, don't forget to visit my website, lewisinvestmentandfinance.com. There you have the premium stock market course. They also of course have the themes. If you want to learn how to invest from stock market vocabulary to how you can analyze an intrinsic fundamental technical action. All the analyses that can be done have a 7-day guarantee and my personal advice. Here you have the course and the personal finance course as well in case you are having problems with your finances. A special discount that I can give you, code Luis10 and S10, but it will only be available until today. Code Luis10 if you want to contact me if you have any questions. There's my WhatsApp and you can send me a message directly. Thank you very much for your attention and we would see each other tomorrow like this. Goodbye. Goodbye. In the afternoon we will see you at 4 p.m. at the closing of the stock market. See you in the afternoon. Bye bye.